SJ. Welcome to Mvskoke Radio, your weekly source for tribal and community news, interesting guests and discussions, plus a local events calendar. SJ, Stongong, Gary Fife, Jaho Jifkados, Tonkoan Chukayettika, Moge. Good morning, beautiful spring day here. It's kind of breezy, shall we say? We'll be talking about that here today. We have a couple of things we're going to be focusing on with this program today. Of course, with the weather comes all the wind and increased fire conditions. We'll be speaking with Charlie Harley of the BIA's firefighting crew to analyze what we're dealing with here in Creek Country. And right after that, we have Earth Day coming up, and we'll have a gentleman here coming in, Joe Hooper, who will be talking about what the environmental services folks have got planned for this year. And then finally, we have a graduate profile page coming up for Mvskoke News. So all of these students who are graduating from various schools and colleges and trade schools, things like that, can get their profile and a photo into that section. So we'll be able to talk with one of our crews and kind of find out why our deadlines are so important. But first of all, let's get working. First of all, we have Charlie Harley from the BIA firefighting crew coming in to talk with us. Did I get that title right?
Yes. Okay,
now we have winds just howling down the road right out the window here. We've been listening to that whistle and stuff getting blown around, and I'm wondering, okay, well, looks like fire season's here, and we're in the midst of some tough conditions. How would you analyze things the way they look?
Well, today it's we're supposed to get a little bit warmer and a little bit drier. With the high winds, it makes fire danger a little bit more. Something to be aware of.
Well, I was asking you earlier, just kind of casually observing the wind and the way it was treating the trees and the grass, and just howling, just roaring through between these buildings. How fast would a fire move in conditions like this?
The rate of spread would all depend on the type of fuel load in the area, and green up is coming. It slows it down a bit, but there's still a lot of brown out there.
Yeah. Let's say you had your typical pasture, a few trees, grass fires, that kind of thing. How fast would that move?
You could lose about 40 to 50 acres in a matter of minutes.
So in a minute, what's the distance that could travel?
In about a minute right now, you'd probably go about 20 yards a minute. Give or take.
A few more, if it was a little more intense. I heard it could move as fast as the length of a football field.
Yes. Like I said, it all depends on the topography and the weather and the humidity. Once the humidity starts dropping, right now, since it's still early morning, it's still kind of pretty containable, but we don't want any kind of fire out there today because, like I said, it will get warmer and the relative humidity will drop, and once it gets lower, the combustion rate is a whole lot higher.
Right, everything's drier then and more susceptible to ignition.
Yes.
Have you had any chance to look at the forecast, say, for the rest of this summer? It's like the wind's wanting to play and get on the show here today.
Yeah, we're always looking at forecasts for the summer in our area just to be aware, because back in 2012 it was a hot, dry year, and we had a lot of fire activity. It's predicted to be a little bit, some say a little bit drier than normal, then some say about average. So on that, we just kind of go with it and pretty much just go day by day, really, till we start noticing the trend. Because, well, Oklahoma weather is always changing.
Oh, yeah. And I know the phrase global warming tends to aggravate some people sometimes real quick, but for me, I don't know. It just seems like things are changing so much that we're going to continue to see this trend.
Yeah, we've been watching the storms here for the past few years, and we used to get quite a bit of rain around March and April, but it seems like the storms are getting further and more drastic over in Arkansas and Missouri area now.
And I don't mean to demean those folks, but they're welcome too. I mean, we could use the rain and things like that, but gosh. Now, when we talk about fire conditions and things like humidity and temperature, do most people understand what that means, or you kind of have to educate them?
Yeah, most people aren't aware of what the meaning of all that terminology, but basic common sense type rule is just to, if it gets hotter and windier, just try not to burn anything.
Yeah, because it'll get away from you pretty quick. And now, what's the size of your crew? Now, I pass by your garage every day coming to work, and I notice vehicles there out in the bays, and a number of, I guess, personal vehicles parked out in front. How many members on your team there?
Right at the moment, we have a crew of about 15. Mm-hmm. One engine and maybe 2 squads on. Mm-hmm. But we also have resources in Seminole that we can call on, and also in Mvskoke at our regional office that come give us a hand. Are
they pretty much kind of on duty all the time, so to speak?
Yes.
So if there's an emergency call, say on a weekend, they can still respond?
Yes. And we have a crew from Montana down giving us a hand, too.
Oh, really?
They're spread out all over from the Flathead Reservation.
Oh, okay. Well, pretty cool. I knew some folks up there, Salish Kootenai.
Yeah.
The usual case, if there is such an animal, is typically a grass fire running across somebody's pasture. Is that kind of mostly what we see, or is there something else there that you guys see that we don't?
That's mostly what we see is somebody burning brush piles previous day before, like yesterday when the winds weren't that bad. Mm-hmm. It's kind of calm. And then we have days like today where the brush piles aren't monitored and they get out of hand, and that's usually the case.
Yeah. Now, I've seen some people, burning weeds in the ditches and things like that to kind of clear them out. It's not a good idea right now.
Not today.
Yeah, in your backyard before you know it.
Yeah.
Now with the size of, say, your average pasture and things like that, do you have enough members on your crew to handle those kinds of things?
Yes, I was speaking to a couple of fire departments the other day, and a lot of the rural fire departments are getting ready. They're assembling task force and they're on standby already just for today, and maybe tomorrow also, depending on the wind conditions. Mm-hmm. The weather, the meteorologists are saying possible rain tonight, but that usually sparks everybody's interest in trying to burn today because they want to burn before the rain gets in, and usually we don't get any rain and we're off to the races again.
Yeah, or get your grass cut.
Yep.
Get your mower stuck. That's what I do. Now the anxiety that goes along with that kind of thing, you guys got your tensions run a little higher as things turn out like this today?
Yeah, the readiness part, we want to get everything set up and ready to go just so that we can do our job correctly and have everything in place, in working order, everything's functioning properly. But after that, we're just, tension kind of dies down then, just that readiness part.
You get to relax and hope you don't have anything to do that day.
Yeah, right.
When you go out on a call, is the effort more to contain the fire or to put it out? I mean, do you take enough water, do you think, to put out a pasture's worth of fire, or would you be doing something to keep it from spreading?
Yeah, our main thing is containment.
Okay.
Just to contain it in the area, then that way we can work it and completely put it out.
Yeah, so that's where your crews and your shovels come in, and if it's bigger than that, then you call in the big boys.
Yes. We have dozers on standby also, just in case. But the only part about that, it takes them a while. Sometimes we'll have a fire. We'll be in, let's say, Eufaula and have a fire break out in Bristow, and the time it takes for us to travel up there is probably about an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. For a dozer, it's another couple hours.
Right, and then they have to get up and set up.
Then set up, yes.
And I've seen them working. I was a PIO for a crew out and went to California, and just come in there and knock almost a big dirt path through the area, and hope to contain it in that fashion, right?
Yeah, the main thing with that is we try to get the dozer out ahead of it, because the fire moves faster than the dozer sometimes, and we don't want to get them entrapped in there and cause a fatality or any kind of injury,
Or the loss of several $1,000s worth of equipment.
Yeah. Or our main thing is safety to personnel, life, and then property and homes.
Now, I heard a couple of years ago that crew got trapped out in Arizona and unfortunately perished because of it. And I'm thinking, from what I've seen, that can happen so quickly and anywhere just about. But you've got observers and spotters and things watching for those. Has your crew ever suffered a loss like that?
No.
And let's cross our fingers on that.
Yeah, we try to avoid that as much as possible. And that crew that perished out there in Arizona were a more advanced crew than ours, so we would never put our crew in that type of situation where they're more advanced and their physical limits are a little bit better than ours.
Yeah, and they were out there in an area where there was lots of fuel and. Was it a mountainous region? I don't
Yes,
know.
yes.
All right. Well, in Oklahoma, you got a little bit of an advantage here. But,
Yeah.
But it means the fire runs faster, though. Now, we like to share safety tips for homeowners and landowners and people out there working countryside. Now, would you have some do's and don'ts that might be useful right about now?
Yeah, right about now when the wind's blowing, if you're, some of the elders still burn wood stoves, Don't throw the ashes out. Just leave them in a metal bucket somewhere contained where the wind doesn't get inaccessible to it. Burning trash, if you burned trash yesterday, try to put a cover on top of your burn barrel. Or
you'll have embers taken off.
Yes, exploding cans and stuff like that, aerosol cans get out there and cause some of the problems.
Are there precautions then people should take in the front of a fire if it's kind of heading their way? Is there something they can do?
The main thing today is if you see smoke, it shouldn't be out there. If you see a big cloud of smoke moving rapidly, call your local fire department. And, we're, like I said, our crew covers all of Creek Nation area, so we may be in a different area and not be able to get to all these fires.
Yeah.
But we're all constantly monitoring the radios and try to get somebody there.
What would you say to those folks who just have to, like storm chasers, they go out and have to see this fire and do the selfie routine and stuff like that? I mean, does it kind of get in the way, or are they putting themselves in the path of danger there?
Some of them do, and the main thing is just stay clear of the area, let the fire departments, firefighters do their work, be able to get in. We've had to chase some people off and have law enforcement come arrest them because they wouldn't get out of the way, and they're blocking the entrance into the area of the fire.
Right. So those people who are that curious, get out of the way.
Yeah.
You're not doing anybody any good. What about around the home? Say you've got a lot of our people live in rural areas. And of course, they've got yards and perhaps animals and chickens and all kinds of stuff. What kinds of things should they be doing ahead of a fire, something like that?
On days like today, there's still leaf litter out there on the ground, and if the fire's burning, it'll catch some of the leaves on fire. And if you have open garages, go ahead and close them. Barns that are, have doors on them, if you're able to close them. So that if in the event of a wildfire, embers don't fly into your barn and you lose all your hay or equipment or whatever you have stored in there.
Yeah, you could lose everything you own in just a flash.
Yes.
The homes I've seen that were lost tend to have the usual construction, wooden panel boards and shingles on the roof. And the ones that didn't had metal roofs. Now, perhaps you could explain the advantage there. I think it's kind of obvious, but maybe.
Yeah, the main problem with those is just houses with gutters on them, and leaf litter gets trapped in the gutters and it dries out, and embers fly in the gutters, and the heat builds up by the shingles with tar, and it's highly combustible.
Right. Yeah.
It's hard to put out with just water.
Yeah, it doesn't want to.
Yeah, because most homes don't carry foam units or anything like that.
Yeah. If somebody said, "Well, I can handle this. I got a good garden hose and lots of water here," is that enough? Is that a good idea?
It's a good precaution, but the main thing is just leave it to the professionals, and if you can maintain it. But I suggest just call 911. As soon as you see something coming for your home, just call 911. Somebody will be there. Somebody will respond.
And good Lord, that's weird. I hope you guys don't catch a job today.
Yeah.
Some homeowners are reluctant to leave if they're faced in a situation. Are there kind of words of advice that you might want to give them about what they should do at that point?
Yes, if you're going to shelter in place, try to close everything and put everything away that's combustible or flammable. But
move the wood pile away from the doors.
Yeah, if you still have wood next to your home, it's a good time to move that right now. I mean, the weather is warming up. I know during the wintertime it's easier just to go on the front porch and pick up a piece of wood and bring it back in rather than walk to the couple hundred yards away or a couple yards away to go get it because of the wind. But
it's summertime. You don't need
it. We can move all the flammables and combustibles away from the house right now.
If someone were interested in the line of work you do, how would they go about becoming part of a team like this?
You can come to our BIA office located on the complex grounds in the old Chiefs building, or the old Chiefs office, right across from, right next to Realty. Or just ask someone in Realty. We're constantly speaking with Realty where the BIA office is, and have them come in and talk to us.
Okay, and then of course you got the garage over there between General Services and the casino. Right?
Yes.
Okay. And what kinds of things would someone do to report a fire? Should they call you first, or the county, or
no? Just call your local fire department. Some of them you might have to call the county to have them dispatched out there. Like I said, they're all volunteer fire departments. Not we have no idea who all is staffing today or sitting around the shop waiting. But just call your local county dispatch office.
Would there be any difference that you could tell us between a city fire department and one more focus on a rural area? I mean, I guess we're talking structure fire versus wildfire.
Yeah, structure fire, as here in Okmulgee, they're more geared to house fires. They have some brush vehicles, but not many. But whereas the volunteer fire departments in the rural areas, they have more brush vehicles and a few structure engines, but they're more geared to wildfires in the rural area.
Yeah.
And another thing is that we know the volunteers are geared to your structure, so we try to free them up as much as possible. So in the event of a structure fire, they can go back and suppress that, because we have no qualifications on structure fires at all. We are strictly wildfire.
Right, they've got the heavy gear and air tanks and things, and of course the water apparatus and things like that.
Yes.
We want to leave our listeners here with a word of advice. First of all, are there any burn bans in place right now?
No burn bans. It's just a strong wind advisory. The winds are predicted to gust up to 40 miles an hour. The RH, the humidity is dropping down to the lower 30s, and the temperature is supposed to reach about 88 today. So,
oh boy.
Yeah, with the warmer temperature, things get drier. So just keep that in mind.
Could be July and August are going to be pretty rough then.
Yes.
Okay, and how would someone get in touch with you to either report a fire or get more information about your crew and how to become part of it and that sort of thing?
We have a website on the Creek Nation page on the Creek Nation website. We have our contact numbers and contact info on there. So if you go under that, just look under BIA and Fire Management.
Okay. And grab you on the street in case they say if you got something they want to talk about.
Yeah, our engines are a little bit different than everybody else's. They're white and red or just white and blue. and say Bureau of Indian Affairs on them. So if you ever see one of us riding around, just wave us down and give us a shout.
Okay, well, we hope people have gone beyond the point where anything BIA is the enemy, because you guys are going to save their tails if they need it. The number again for anyone wanting to contact you.
Contact me directly is at 918-752-7340.
Okay, is there anything you want to add, anything you got coming up that people should be aware of?
Not at this time. We're just strictly focused on wildfires in our area right now.
Okay, well, let's hope you have a summer where you don't have much to do. That'd be fun. All right, well, thank you, Charlie. We appreciate you being with us here this morning and filling us in. Okay, folks, don't burn until they say you can. So stay with us. We'll take a short pause here, and then we're going to learn more about Earth Day coming up at the Mvskoke Creek Nation. Stay with us here on Mvskoke Radio.
I started doing it when I was 11. I wanted to be just like my big brother. And some of my friends were already doing it. We got hooked fast. I just can't get enough. I'm Jacob, and I'm addicted to playing the drums.
There's lots of stuff that makes it cool to be native. Doing meth isn't one of them. Find something better to do. Check out ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Hear that? That's the sound of Hope being killed by meth. Methamphetamine use is causing huge problems in our community. Hear that? That's the sound of something you can do about it. Events like rodeo, res ball, and family time can help keep kids away from meth.
Talk to your kids. Keep our culture alive. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Learn more at ncai.org.
Welcome back to Mvskoke Radio. We're going to kind of move to a related topic here, one that still may be affected by fire conditions. We hope not. But Earth Day is coming up. Our Mvskoke Creek Nation's Department of Environmental Services puts on this annual event to make people aware of the things that are going on, how to clean up. We as Native people have a natural love for the earth and should be respecting it and taking care of it. And also joining us here in the studio is one of my colleagues, my friend Liz Gray is coming in. Hi, hey, how you doing today?
Good, how are you?
Okay, we want to get cracking with it. Now, first of all, Earth Day is coming up, an annual event where the environment is a main concern. We want to talk to Joe about what you got planned. But first of all, what is Earth Day? I guess, what's it all about?
Earth Day. Earth Day is an annual event celebrated April 22nd yearly worldwide. It has various events throughout the nations and countries. They're held to demonstrate and support environmental protection. It's celebrated in 1970, and it includes events more than 193 countries now. So, we're just partaking in the Earth Days as everybody else is and following suit. Mm-hmm. And as you said, taking care of the Earth as we should. Right. Now, let me ask you, as a Native American person, is it something special then to take? To me, it is a very special thing because, like you said before, the Earth is special to us, and we as natives need to think ahead and think of our youngsters and our future generations. So that's what drives me a lot. Yeah, don't want to leave them spoiled. No. Spoiled room. Okay, now this is, as I said, an annual event. The tribe puts it on, and most people think of the cleanup where employees get out there along the highways and the campus and pick up trash. Right. Run away from snakes. Yes, yeah. What they do is they'll gather up and sign up, and they will pick predetermined routes that we have set out, and they'll pick up their trash, and then we'll have people come along behind, pick it up, and we weigh it and everything, and put down the numbers. What are those numbers, you guys? They vary. It's from year to year because what I have to do is separate the recyclables from the quote unquote trash or undesirables that I don't like to have in there. Yeah. Some stuff can't be handled. It's just too dirty, too messy. Been there too long.
They almost have to have a hazmat team come in.
Just about almost, but just use your best discretion when you're out there picking up.
Yeah. No, it would get a little scary there.
Right.
The event has always had a good crowd from what I've seen. A lot of employees take the time to, step away from their desks and things to work with the crews and pick up and things like that.
Yeah, it varies from, we started out the first time, I believe we had 50 or 60 sign up, and the next year was like 100.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on the weather also. So just like today, the weather's pretty windy.
Mm-hmm.
You just have to keep that in mind. If rainstorms are in the forecast, just keep your eyes on that. And for the best information, probably just call our main office, Miss Diane Price, be 549-2580.
Now, on a day like this, you shouldn't be outside smoking either.
No.
Yikes, we'd be in trouble there.
So, I had a question on, you say you're preparing for Earth Day and those that want to participate in it. Do you have any advice on what to maybe bring? It does get hot sometimes. Should they just watch the weather and dress accordingly, or what is some of your advice?
That's the best advice, is to just dress accordingly and watch the weather. We do supply water and stuff like that, and we will feed afterwards. So, just like today, if it's going to be windy, I'm sure you're going to wear a hat or something to maintain your hair or something, if you're a female, of course.
We're going to have Sofky.
I don't know if we'll have Sofky. If someone brings it, we'll sure have it.
Dolly Sofky, if we're lucky. But you'd almost have to be a spiritual leader to feed the people like that.
Yeah.
Now, what do you guys got planned? I usually have a program of activities lined out for the day.
Yeah, on April 25th, we will be having the MCN Recycle Center. That's at 12675 Gun Club Road in Okmulgee. From 9 to 12 p.m., 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., we will have Green Country Shredding come shred papers on site. Mm-hmm. So if you have personal, confidential, anything like that nature to be shredded, and you don't have time to do it, bring it to the center, and Green Country will be there to shred it for you on site.
So you could get rid of old documents that no longer apply.
Old documents, old love letters, whatever.
Old checkbook stubs.
Yes,
and
checkbooks.
Okay, well that sounds pretty cool. But not everything is recyclable there.
Not everything. You will have to take, if you have notebooks, take out the spiral notebooks and binders and stuff like that. Just separate your metals from your binders, and that's very helpful.
So one of the things, because we do have a printing department, and when we talk about paper, I think some paper we weren't able to. There's some glossy paper maybe that
Correct.
isn't able to. So if you want to kind of go into maybe some of the paper that won't be accepted, what do you do with that, and how do you approach that?
When we get stuff like that, like I said, we hand sort everything. There's only a couple of us there that works, and we'll go through and pilfer through everything, as you may say, and we'll separate that glossy paper, because what that is actually paper plastic. So it's paper minted on plastic, and they just reuse it. So that's why they deem it unrecyclable, or with the paper.
Right.
So your normal office papers that comes in bulk, your wrapping that covers the paper, that's what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. And so if say there is a media outlet that has an excess of newspaper, is there an opportunity for us to come and recycle it?
Yes, ma'am. We recycle newspapers and paper as we go on our routes. So just contact us as you have, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can.
Okay, cool.
So years worth of Mvskoke news.
Yeah. Once you've done your archives and everything.
Yeah.
Get rid of excess.
We do
Correct.
We tend to pile that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, while we're on that subject, there are other things that are not a good idea for trying to recycle. What do you also not, I guess, accept?
Most usually, house appliances, people try to bring us, washers, dryers, and stuff like that. There's just things that we don't deal in. Anything that has compressed air, as like an air tank, or even a used propane bottle, Coleman bottle that they used to sell anymore, those have to be decompressed before we can accept those and proceed with the recycling.
So you'd think that after you use that little Coleman bottle up, that would be it, but it's not.
There's the
something residual still in
there's still compressed air. You have to completely open it up and decompress it. So
They always run out of those bottles right at
Yeah.
the wrong time.
Right.
The environmental, I guess your garage, so to speak, is also a spot where the brew's going to be that day.
Yes.
Brooks Brewer will be visiting you with a remote broadcast.
I do know there's a remote. I think it's on the 25th, I believe, because we will also be accepting recyclables on the 26th of that day, of the next day also. That's going to be the actual day of the cleanup that we have for Earth Day.
Okay.
Registration will be at 12:30, and you register, and then we'll separate and go to our sites, and they clean up from 1 to 3 or however long it takes to complete their route. They'll come back to the recycle center, and from 3 to 4 we will feed, hamburgers, hot dogs, and talk about what we've had and what we found, and tell stories.
Yeah, okay. Well, speaking of stories, what's the weirdest or the strangest thing you guys have ever found?
I would have to say it goes back to a couple of years ago. One of the young men had a snake. So other than that, it's just your usual old spare tires that's been in the ditches for a while, and decomposed plastic. That's what I'm talking about when you get your undesirable plastic that's been there for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of the plants that we use, you don't have to have them washed up clean, but they like them, a little bit representable.
The reason I ask is I've worked on a similar project in Alaska, in Anchorage, and they had to clean up that day. One of the women found a gun.
A gun?
Yeah, somebody tossed their pistol out the window. Must have had the muskers, the cops after them.
Yeah.
And what else did she find? One of those inflatable dolls that people have. We won't go into detail there, but they found them.
There's a whole array of things that you will find, and the thing about it is, no matter what it is, most of it is recyclable. It's just the part is getting it to the recycle plant.
Mm-hmm.
So that's part of the initiative for the cleanup days, Earth Day, and in the fall we have America Recycles Day. So we'll do this again in the fall.
Oh, great.
And do you guys also have days where people can do appliances, right? You've had those events before, right?
We've had them far and few in between, but there's been some instances where we just end up with stuff.
Yeah.
So and then when people see it there, they assume that we accept it. So we kind of just take it by accident.
Okay.
So, but there may or may not be a coming day for that. Just like the Earth Day, we might set a special time for that collection event if we decide to do one like that.
Yeah, because you guys do community cleanups as well.
Yes, ma'am. They do one. Seems like every other week. So that would probably be the best time to get rid of those types of materials. Because what we do on Earth Day is geared toward recycling, and it is cleanup, but it's geared toward recycling. So.
The other items that you will be accepting include electronics, and I presume some kinds of cardboard.
Yes, on that day, every day we recycle cardboard, plastic, newspaper, as you said, office paper, your junk mail, magazines, brochures, everything that you pin up on the wall. There are separate types of paper that you spoke of, the plastic paper, but that's our job to separate that before it goes on. So now if you do know the difference, it would be awesome and great if people would start separating for us as we come pick it up, because that's pretty time consuming. Pretty time consuming.
So let's talk about that for a second, about knowing how to separate. Do you guys, if someone's I'm going to start making an effort to recycle more and to be more environmentally conscious, do you guys offer bins or anything, or know where we can get those bins?
Well, we suggest to people when they start, we have bins, but I don't know that we have enough to just hand out left and right. So what I suggest to people is if you have an extra box or something, just start with that, and we'll be happy to take it like that as long as you have them separated.
Right, just mark it.
Yeah, just mark it. Correct. Something like that.
We have stickers we can put on.
We used to have them. We used them up, I believe.
Oh, yeah, we print those, by the way.
Oh, well, we might have to get with you on something.
Yeah.
Do they get recycled? Are they slick paper?
I don't know.
See, that's some of the things we face in today's world. It's everything's so adverse, and you can make things so easy, but it's not that easy to recycle.
Most offices have these little blue waste cans, and with this recycle logo on the side. So we ought to be using those pretty heavily. Would you suggest that?
Yes, that's The blue color and the green colors is what's specifically meant for recyclable representation. So if you see your blue containers, your green ones, some of them's even yellow and green. So those are different materials that that they recycle. We don't have them here in Okmulgee. We don't have them in the at the center. But when you go to the Tulsa or your surrounding bigger cities, they'll have them like that too. So that's what the recyclables are.
I have one in my office, the little blue wastebasket, and I try and remember just clean paper, like ordinary typing paper goes in there, and no apple cores, no nothing else.
There was no food, no used coffee cups, food containers.
Or pizza bones.
Pizza box. You can throw the pizza boxes in there. They really don't like them, because of the grease that gets on it. So, I mean, as anything else, if you're baking a cake and you have a wrong material in there, it's not going to be good. So
Right.
It goes the same for recycling.
Well, actually, I said bones.
Yeah, well, bones will.
Pizza bones, the crust that you don't eat.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress here. The kinds of things that you will include, of course, is if someone wants to get rid of old computer stuff, old VHS players,
Yes.
electronics, things like
Yes, your TVs, VCRs, your game consoles, your Xboxes, Nintendos, anything like that that doesn't work and you want to get rid of, we'll take that too.
So if your kid's spending too much time on the Xbox,
Yeah, just pull the cord.
recycle, here I come. Sit down and shout out.
We got to set the example somehow, which
Yeah.
leads me to one of my points. We do a lot of outreach with with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we have some scheduled with Jennifer Bailey and the Okmulgee Conservation. We could go down to Kitty Lake and they come down in bus loads and we set up stations, us and other folks, and they'll come through and we'll demonstrate what we do and everything else and pretty much promote our profession.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Well, speaking of which, is this like the big event of the year? I know that the rest of the tribe deals with something like festival or basketball tournaments or something. Is this the big job for you guys?
I consider it one of the big ones. Like I said earlier in the show, the kids are very important to get a hold of and teach to that this is their earth and their planet, and they're going to be the future leaders and generations of this earth. So we need to do our best to pass on, Earth Day. It happens every year. It's never too early to learn. I have a teacher that called me from Walika Schools, Mrs. What is her name? I can't remember her name, but Mrs. Ward. She's teaching a pre-K class, and she wants to teach recycling to this pre-K class. And she called me up and asked if we could come down and do a outreach presentation and pointers and what have you. So we've got that scheduled for our near future.
Well, that's like the best learning time for a child, is when
Yes.
So you ingrain it in them at that point, and they'll keep it for life.
Correct. We as adults, we've learned and we've been here for a while. We've seen the world evolve. I have, and we just need to get it passed on. These children need to take control now.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you have some measurement of how the tribe has been responding? I mean, weight in pounds or whatever else, number of people who come out, anything like that?
We keep a monthly log of what we collect, which is cardboard is our number one intake. We average around 10 to 12,000 pounds of cardboard a month, and that's just cardboard. So paper will probably go 600 or 800 pounds a month, and then of course plastic's a lot lighter than that, but we get a lot of plastic.
So
We get tons of plastic, it just does not weigh very much, but that is our number one, menace in recycling.
Just water bottles and
Water bottles, one-time use.
yeah,
Water bottles, milk jugs, potato chip sacks, one-time use. That's one of the big problems.
bags from the grocery store things. Well, any last questions or anything, Liz?
Maybe kind of, we talk about Earth Day, and it's not just about making everything look good, Yeah, you don't want trash everywhere, but could you talk about like the actual environmental impact, wildlife and just in general of like the impact of participating in Earth Day and just cleaning up trash and starting to recycle. If you could kind of talk to us about that.
Right. Well, that's basically what it's geared toward. The environment is if you just take a walk or a jog or even ride anywhere towards the town, towards the edge of town, you'll see the trails of trash, up in the trees and in the ditches and everything. But as you go further out, you think it would get less, but it gets worse.
Sure.
So
just drive up and down 75.
Right. So if you think of it this way too, going back and forth on my trips, I look, I'll scope around a lot, and I've noticed a lot of plastic bags up in the trees. So in my mind, I developed a game. How many eagles do you see in that tree? Because it looks like an eagle, but when you get up close to it, it's a plastic sack.
So answer E is easily 0 eagles.
Yeah.
Right.
Right. Well, because we talk about, a lot of it is the ocean. The ocean gets a lot of garbage and a lot of waste. And, we kind of think of in Oklahoma as like the ocean's so far out, but like here, we're about to get into summer where everyone's going to be at the lake, and I mean, I've seen people drown their cans in the water, instead of just going and
taking it back.
And instead of taking it back, and you think of like, what about the fish? Like what about not even just the fish, just anything that lives in the lake? And how
Think
that's
of it this
affected.
way: what you see on top of the land, there's probably 2 to 3 times, 100 more or thousands more beneath the water.
And that's where
That's probably
kids
not even
are swimming.
that's not even the correct number. I'm just throwing one out there. So.
Yeah, I'd believe that easily.
Yeah. So.
Okay, well, now, if anybody wanted some more information about the event, let's do the logistical review, date, time, place.
Okay, I'm just going to read you my whole flyer here that I have. The Mvskoke Recycle Center, Mvskoke Creek Nation Recycle Center, is presenting Earth Day, April 25th through 26th, 2019. We invite you to celebrate by participating in 2-day recycling event, community cleanup, and cookout. Free and open to the public. Everybody hear that? Free.
Free.
So everybody likes free.
Great day.
On April 25th, we'll be at the Recycle Center, 12675 Gun Club Road, Okmulgee, Oklahoma. Free, secure paper shredding, like I said, by Green Country Shredding. If you have anything that you need to get rid of that you need nobody to see, they'll do it there on site. We'll do e-waste cleanup from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Drop off your electronics, your papers, your plastics, your cardboard, and your general household recyclables. We'll accept those as well. The next day, April 26th, we'll do the registration and the community cleanup. So we'll sign up at 12:30, go out at 1, clean up from 1 to 3, come back to the recycle center from 3 to 4, and we'll fellowship and have T-shirts and food.
Okay, Joe Hooper, thank you very much. Now, that number once again?
It'll be 918-549-2580, and Mrs. Price will take care of you.
Okay, well, we hope a lot of our Mvskoke come out and help clean up our grounds and respect to yours. Okay, well, we're going to take another short pause, and then we'll be back with our final segment. We'll be looking at the graduate profile page of our newspaper and talking with our managing editor, Reader Courtright, who has joined us in the studio. So stay with us here on Mvskoke Radio.
Who am I? Am I native? I don't want people assuming things because I'm Indian. I just want to be me. But how do I live in 2 worlds? Some guys just check out by doing meth. But that ain't for me. Because I see my family, my friends, my drum making, my future. There are a lot of cool things about being who I am. And meth isn't one of them.
Learn more at ncai.org. A message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians. Who am I? Am I Indian? Just 'cause I'm a girl from the res, don't make things up about me. What if I move away? Then who am I? Some kids try meth just to escape, but then I think about my grandma, my little brother, my beadwork, my poetry, and I think, I like who I am, and I know meth is not for me.
Check out ncai.org, a message from the Partnership for a Drug-Free America and the National Congress of American Indians.
Welcome back to Mvskoke Radio. Joining us here in the studio is my boss, Rita Courtright, and she's here to talk about our graduate page coming up in Muskogee News, and also the activities we've been going through as a department since we've been emancipated somewhat. So let's first of all say welcome, Rita. Thanks for making time and coming in.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. This is just my second time up here, so I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, okay, we'll fix that. Now, you and Liz bear the responsibilities pretty much of getting the paper together and laying it out, and working with our graphics folks to make sure the paper looks good and is delivered on a timely manner. And a lot of people don't understand it really takes a long time to do that. I mean, you can't just throw stuff on a page and make it work. It has to fit, it has to make sense and look good. So first of all, let's describe that job as the assembly line you guys have to work with.
Sure. I was hired on as a managing editor, so I started the editing of all of the news stories, but that quickly changed once we had a change of leadership within Mvskoke Media back in November, so I had to pick up additional duties, and luckily Liz stepped up for me and has really helped me out with putting the paper together. I mean, without her, I don't know where I'd be, because it's pretty, there's a lot of components that go into it that I'm still learning every day. So Liz I'm very thankful for her. She comes in, she helps me with the editing, and then she places them into file folders and starts the layout process.
Mm-hmm. Right. It's as a reporter, we have 4 reporters on staff. Gary, you help us with content, and we have people that just kind of come in. I think Jared, our video guy, he's helped us with it. Josh Slane, our IT guy, he's helped us put content out there before, and so it's kind of like a never-ending cycle, because whenever you first start, you have, these are our stories. Here's our stories, this is what we're doing, and let's go find our interviews, go, set up, interview, write. And that is just like those things go in a cycle. And it's the deadline comes up really quick. It's like right now, like we're working on getting, our April 15th out, and now we get to turn around. We can't even, before we even let our breath out, now we have to worry about May 1st, so it's like, as soon as you think that you might have a chance to let me do this little side project, or I want to delve into something else, I don't know how many times I've tried to do an investigative piece, and I'm like, I don't have time. I don't have time. I have to do this, and this, before it comes out. And so it is a process. And luckily, and Mark Hill, he's great at putting the paper, together, and we kind of work together on okay, this is going to fit. And you have to think of whenever I started to really think about putting stories in the paper, I don't know how many times I've looked at the word count. I apologize to our former editor, Jessica McBride, for whenever I didn't put my word count in there. And she's like, put the word count in. I'm like,